What's going on, everybody? It's been a couple weeks. Things have been crazy busy, but on the plus side, been getting a lot of work done. So there's that, and we'll give a bit of a progress update here in a little bit. But yeah, thanks for being here. Let's see who's in the chat so far. We have Amazing Gaming Productions. What's going on, man? Michael Ferraro, how is it going, dude? Hail, Mikey Govets, how you doing? We got Katie. Woo! Cross Comics. You are both. I'm pretty much never on time for these, so kind of expect me to be 15 minutes late minimum. Uh, we have Scribe Comics. How's it going? All right. All right. So, what's been going on lately? So, as mentioned, been working on the comic a lot. Been dedicating quite a bit of time on the weekend, especially to that, and true. Um, I have now, I think I'm at 42 pages scripted out of what'll probably be anywhere between 54 to 64. So really happy with the progress there. And majority of that's been edited, anywhere from 5 to 10 times over. Because I do enjoy, after I get done with a chapter, going through editing the whole everything that came previously and then rinse, repeat. And on top of that, I do have some completed pages with lettering done. So I do have art. Um, hopefully, my goal is maybe by September, mid September, I will have a sign up page going, which that's when I'll announce the artist and the team. And so, yeah, we'll have a pre launch party and whatnot and get that sign up page going. So the art is looking fantastic. So super excited to show folks that it's really hard to be patient and hold back. But again, I want to approach it in a specific way and same thing with the pre-launch and everything. So just yeah, gonna be patient and yeah, but I'm excited. So but it's going really well. And let's see what else is new. Oh yeah, there's a conspiracy, a crazy one, crazy with a K, that I am Crazy Cat in the chat. Um, he'll might even pop up in the chat tonight, which would be funny. But I think he's if we were to go to Ethan's stream right now, he's probably actively modding. So hands are up, and if he's in the chat, um, it ain't me, but people believe it's me because just one random dumbass that goes through all of the chats, whether it's CG or anti CG, and decided I'm Crazy Cat for no reason, just because I'm friendly with people that he's friendly with. But obviously, we have a completely different tone and approach to things. But I will say, he's always been great to me. I appreciate him dropping links for me. And oh no, there he is. If he types again, everybody knows. So I'm gonna keep him up. Let's see. You didn't hear my keyboard clickety clack, so oh, there it is. Just gonna click the mouse once. Oh, there it is. So I have to have some magical powers to be able to type with my mind. So there you have it. I'm not gonna click on all the letters. Um, but there you go. Obviously, we have a different style of um, being in the chat, but he is good at sussing out some of the bad actors and fence sitters and stuff. So definitely pay attention to some of the stuff he says in different chats because got to give some credit there. But appreciate you being here. Good timing. But hey, it's always fun when someone does just a unfound rumor, of course, to try to right make me look bad, make it look like I'm creating drama and stirring up shit and this, that, and the other. When Crazy Cat's just someone in the chat that drops links, that supports channels, probably backs campaigns, and is helping out the community. So I have no complaints in that regard. But yeah, let's check out a clip where this this rumor started. Let's see here. All right, so not a show or channel I prefer to EFAP, and definitely don't prefer to watch. Um, but this is kind of where. So it originally started. I don't know which. I think it was maybe Finatra's chat, where the individual Jasper Plan 9 was going back and forth with Crazy Cat and just decided to call him BA. And then dumbasses just decided, oh, because that person called him that, he somehow had magical knowledge that's actually him. And that person likes to jump from CG streams, like Trashcast, Shane's channel, and then go over to, you know, Lord Raptor's channel, which is kind of funny because it's like you're over supporting EVS 1 minute and then you're over supporting the folks that are literally going at him. So it's like, that's strange. And I think he was even on Ethan or John or one of their channels. Like he came in and had a discussion with them, and he was kind of going back and forth with Shane and kind of disagreeing, on a topic. I can't remember the specifics, but it's interesting when you see that. It's like, oh, they're super supportive in the chat over here of a particular person, and then they're over here just hanging out and joining in on the jokes and the jabs and shit talking about that same person that they were previously supposedly supporting. And yeah, I've noticed that Crazy Cat sussed some of those people out. So have I. And I could call them out, but again, I'm not the type to stir up drama or any of that nonsense. I don't have time for it. But when something's particularly about me, then sure, I'll talk about it. And when people like Matt Barr decides to do a tweet and make the same claim with no receipts and just saying, oh well, that guy said that it's true, so it must be true. So yeah, let's listen to this super intelligent conversation and reveal with no receipts.
Okay, everything goes on. Here's like,
Hold on, coming out of my speakers. 1 second. All right, let's try that.
Right?
We're just laughing at the shit burn and maybe a few Twitter posts, but that's really.
I mean, we got some memers, hail the memers.
Hail the memers. I mean, be nothing without the memers.
That's what it's all about. But other than that, I mean, it's not that serious.
But apparently it's super serious. People are just itching to do something over here. I guess we'll see.
I mean, you've got a bunch of weirdos.
Nobody in my chat does that, and if they do, I do not.
Speaking of Katie, they're of course EFAPing a stream, where Katie was talking and discussing things. So shocker, right?
Allow them in. I have said numerous times that if anybody was to go out there and start trouble, like with the whole the side scroller situation or someone striking someone's channel, I've told them numerous times that it's not. I do not approve of that. I do not agree with that, and if that's what you're doing, you can leave.
Fucked up my. I don't know if that's really how things go, because if that's the case, why didn't Katie come out and disavow all the Dan Fraga kid alt accounts on Twitter when that happened, when that was a thing?
I will call you out.
Nails! God damn it! Apparently so, Jim. It's fucked up.
How are you, Katie? I wouldn't take credit for your entire chat that they're not up to anything.
To be fair, Jim, Patrick's the only one really pushing back, having a conversation here. So I don't really know exactly. I don't know if we're going to get the answers from this live stream, but he is the only one pushing back at the moment. So take that as you will.
Hilarious. But I will say, Crazy Cat has come after me. There's been plenty of people from.
Well, that's okay. So we have another person.
So here's where they specifically start talking about the mysterious Krazy cat. And you have to watch for the chat. I'll pause it when it gets to it, when the name dropping starts.
Complaining about Krazy Cat, a grown man that I have no control over.
Whoa! I thought you just said that she would get control over people if they were out here doing some kind of chaos, making some kind of trouble. Huh? So she's a liar. Wow.
Yeah, she just admitted she has no control.
That was quick, Pan. That was really quick. I didn't think we'd already get a shot in so quick.
Hold on, I want to hear that nonsense again.
Strike. I never said that. Someone in the chat said, well, it's got to be somebody from Lord Raptor Jesus crew, and I agreed. But then I told Raptor, and I tried to explain to him, and I even told Raptor, I said, look, I probably should have explained it a little bit more. I could see why you would take offense to that. What I'm saying is there's people in your chat that are itching to do something.
There's people in your chat that are itching to do things.
Itching to do something? What the fuck does that mean?
To do what?
Stir shit, obviously.
It's
What are we even talking about here? Like, holy shit.
You know, Pan, another person that gets so many things wrong on the daily is Katie Did. I don't. She talks us up like we're some kind of like secret organization over here plotting all the schemes, scams, everything that goes on here. It's like,
right?
I mean, you do like 3-4 hour streams where it's literally rumor mills and random nonsense. So, I mean, not a shocker people might think that.
You know,
laughing at the shit burning and maybe a few Twitter posts, but that's really.
I mean, we got some memers, you know, hail the memers.
Hail the memers. I mean, be nothing without the memers.
That's what it's all about. But other than that, I mean, you know, it's not that serious.
But apparently it's super serious. People are just itching to do something over here. I guess we'll see.
I mean, you've got a bunch of weirdos.
Nobody in my chat does that, and if they do, I do not allow them in. I have said numerous times that if anybody was to go out there and start trouble, like with the whole the side scroller situation, or someone striking someone's channel, I've told them numerous times that I do not approve of that. I do not agree with that, and if that's what you're doing, you can leave.
Fucked up my. I don't know if
that's true. You know, obviously, I'm in a lot of the stream chats where I watch the replays, right, of like the Good Morning Comics Gate on Monday, which folks should go watch. But the mods are quite strict in there, and she is as well. Even if it's someone that's on her or CG's side, like, you know, they're not okay with, you know, obviously like doxing and things of that nature, or you know, acting like you're somebody else or whatever. So that's actually legitimate.
That's really how things go, because if that's the case, you know, why didn't Katie come out and disavow all the Dan Fraga Kid alt accounts on Twitter when that happened, when that was a thing?
Okay, so first off, that situation had nothing to do with her or most of the internet, right? Most of the creators. So typically, if it doesn't involve you, you're not going to go out and just disavow random alt accounts. Why? Because it has nothing to do with you. If you had to do that if you had to police the internet that way, you'd be doing that all day long, you know, regardless if it's related to comics or whatnot. So, yeah.
I will call you out.
Nails! God damn it! Apparently so, Jim. It's fucked up.
How are you, Katie? I wouldn't take credit for your entire chat that they're not up to anything.
To be fair, Jim, like, I mean, Patrick's the only one really like pushing back, having a conversation here. So, like,
she can only monitor her chat during her actual live streams. Hence, also, she has to rely on the mods, right? Because she's trying to entertain, she's trying to promote someone, have a discussion. You know, just like right now, I can't even, and I don't have a huge audience. I can't necessarily keep up with the chat fully if I'm trying to concentrate on the actual clip, right? And providing discourse around it. So she's saying if she sees bad actors in the chat, then she'll do something about it. Same with the mods. But what they do outside of the chat has nothing to do with her. She's not responsible for them. But I wouldn't be surprised if she saw someone and had evidence of them doing something like that. She would call it out, you know, or obviously prevent it from leaking into the chat. But no one's responsible for their chat, whether it's in the chat or outside of the chat. But I have witnessed her and mods, including myself, timing people out, calling them out for things that are going on actively in the chat. So I don't know if that actually happens in his chat. I could never stomach enough of a stream to actually find out. So
I don't really know exactly. I don't know if we're going to get the answers from this live stream, but he is the only one pushing back at the moment. So take that as you will.
Hilarious. But I will say, Krazy Cat has come after me. There's been plenty of people from.
Well, that's okay. So we have another person complaining about Krazy Cat, a grown man that I have no control over.
Whoa! I thought she just said that she would get control over people if they were out here doing some kind of chaos. Making...
No, she would try to monitor things in her own chat, not outside of the chat.
In some kind of trouble. Huh. So she's a liar. Wow.
Yeah, she just admitted she has no control.
That was quick pan. That was.
You expect anyone to have control over another person and what they do outside of their own platform? She's not responsible for people on Twitter or other people's streams. Like, she's not responsible for people in my stream right now. That'd be absurd.
That was really quick. I didn't think we'd already get a shot in so quick.
We thought she was going to assume some responsibility. Yeah, right.
Huh. Oh, there's going to be a lot of...
Well, geez. If she's supposed to be responsible for people in her chat, then, man, I feel bad for you guys and how nasty your chat gets. Because, right, if we're going to play by the same rules, then whew, you're responsible for a lot of stuff.
Get ready, chat. You might be getting real tipsy tonight. You feel me?
To be fair, Krazy.
I'm just giving an example.
Hold on, dude. To be fair, Krazy Cat goes after everyone. Krazy Cat's called me a pedophile, like everything under the sun.
Oh, I haven't heard that from Krazy Cat. I will say I've not heard that.
No, he's done it in other chat. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't bother me because I know I'm not one.
It's not the kind of DM says. Control your husband, Katie. Well, actually. It's not to call. We might have some breaking news about that whole situation. We might have. But I won't spoil it. I'll save it for just a bit. You stand by.
You know.
Right.
Like whatever, bro. But the fact is that I'm like, and also don't have a product to sell. So
we got Neo in the chat asking Lord Rector, why isn't Katie calling?
So here's where you'll see it in the chat. The Jasper Plan 9 saying it's me. Obviously with no details.
Calling out Krazy Cat for trying to start shit with side scrollers like that other guy did. Wait a minute, is there some kind of... Wait a minute, I know about the one side scrollers receipt where you had the CG Kings of Comics who went over there and said, what, if they didn't bow down and kiss the ring of Comicsgate, that Comicsgate was going to start flagging their channel and destroy them or something? Like, I believe...
Yeah, and clearly that was an alt trying to pose as somebody that's in CG. Like, that was so obvious to anyone that's in the comic space.
That's what happened, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know about the crazy interaction. I'm going to have to look into that, Neo. That's, you should let me know. Interesting. The plot thickens.
Oh, it's not going to hurt my business.
Oh, the other thing.
But yeah, Krazy Cat
is I am just...
Oh, yeah, but listen. Isn't Krazy a mod on EVS, John, and Shane's channel, too? Yes, he is. I don't know who decided to give an insane Spurg a wrench in all these chats.
Have you seen who some of the mods are in your channel? And the stuff that they say and do on Twitter? Oh, the irony. It's constant.
But Pan, I don't know if you know this, but Krazy brings up Katie actually kind of more than I do myself. Like, he's kind of like throwing her under the bus more than I do sometimes.
Oh, damn.
It's pretty fucked up, but it
Whoa.
could be a wigger husband. You never know.
All I was a consumer for CG. I was not anything other than that. I wasn't trying to promote any kind of channel. I have no desire to be a YouTuber, to have any kind of clout. I could give a shit about any of that stuff. There's never.
Wait a second! Holy shit! Wait a second! Hey, we got some breaking news.
I just don't know how you could be a grown man acting like this. Like, I don't know. Like, it's very strange.
Holy shit! And we had a theory just the other day that maybe Krazy Cat could potentially be B.A. Turner.
Oh
my.
Okay.
And you got Jasper Plan 9 in the chat saying Krazy Cat is B.A. Turner.
And so for some context or backstory, I don't know why, but Jasper Plan 9 has had a hate boner for me for quite some time. Um, oh geez, maybe a year and a half ago or so, you know, the first couple times I got on Ethan's channel, right, for CG Live, he was just having a hissy fit in the chat, like, he doesn't deserve to be on the show. He hasn't earned it, and blah, 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 just screeching. And I'm just sitting there, like, watching the chat, like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, I have a book to sell. I am literally making a comic. This is CG Live. It's obvious why I'm here. And obviously part of it is that I don't treat the other people on the panel or, on that side of things like shit. So, but here you are, ironically, supporting and interacting with a channel that literally goes after the folks that you were supposedly supporting and complaining that I was on their show. Oh, I think he was actually the one on Twitter that said, what did he call me? I don't know if it was, saying that I wasn't a real comic creator. Oh, he's the one that said I was a tourist. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because tourists invest thousands and thousands of dollars and, hundreds, if not thousands of hours into creating books, just being a tourist. Like, yeah.
Now is that a suspicion, or do we have some receipts on that?
Well, it was interesting because, the receipts I had just the other day was a conversation between Jasper and Krazy Cat. Well, Krazy Cat was, this is fucked up. This is fucked up, man. Krazy Cat was in Panatra's chat, and he was bragging to Jasper Plane 9, who's been around CG for a very long time, one of the OG backers. And, well, he was bragging that Shane Davis stripped Jasper Plane 9 of his wrench, and it's now Krazy's wrench. And, well, he was kind of rubbing it in his face.
So he's upset and jealous because he believes I got that wrench instead of him. Well, newsflash, I don't have a wrench in Shane's channel. So, and yeah, you'll see, obviously during Trashcast and CG Live and stuff, when I do get to catch it live, like me and Krazy Cat are modding at the same time. It'd be very, very difficult to do that. I mean, I'd have to be doing dual keyboards, like right now I'm doing, one with my mind and whatnot, but his evidence is just that Krazy Cat and Jasper Plan 9 were going back and forth, and Jasper decided to call him BA. That's the receipt. Yeah, that's a really legitimate receipt.
Asking Jasper, you big mad, Jasper? Are you sad you lost your wrench? What are you gonna do about that? Gonna cry about it? Kind of being a bastard, and
actually, that's hilarious because he's coping and crying to Krazy Cat, and then now starting rumors about him and I, just because he lost a wrench on a channel. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why is that so important to you? Maybe you said or did something to Shane to lose it. Maybe.
Well, we had Jasper in the chat replying, BA. I'm like, wait a minute, BA. There's only one BA I know in CG. Why would you be calling this man BA? But then he says it right there, so I guess we got something else to look into. But it would start to make a little bit more sense. Why Katie is always uploading BA Turner's clips on her channel.
Oh, ooh.
Because they're really boring, pan. They get no interaction because the man's like a stick of mud. Like, so maybe this is his way to get a little wild in the chat with a alta.
I love how me being slightly low energy just bothers them so much. Like, sorry, I can't act like I'm, autism on speed like some folks. Yeah, not me. Sorry.
Count, you feel me?
Okay. Like
say some things that he really wants to say without hurting his brand, his business.
Oh, okay.
No, I just say what I want and what's on my mind in my own way. It's pretty simple. I don't need to be hyperbolic or over the top or any of that stuff. That's just not my cup of tea.
Plot thickens. How do you, Jasper? We'll see where that goes.
I don't think anybody's ever
Fuck you, Tree Goblin.
said that was your focus. My thing with you, Patrick, is like I thought we were fine, and
I'll just pause it there. You can reflect on my comments earlier about Krazy Kat sussing people out. Just leave it at that.
then you just somehow just went on. I didn't see it, but apparently you went on Shane's stream and started bad mouthing me.
Now, Frost, I am all about the comics. You know, because that's such a popular phrase with some people, especially one person, which will actually EFAP a clip on here soon. But I mean, I'm like, let's see, I'm probably 90% all about the comics. The other 10% is just watching and observing the drama. And honestly, and I've done a couple videos on the topic, like, you know, it's up to people whether or not they want to let the drama affect them, right? It's one thing if like you're directly involved in it or your name's being pulled into stuff, but most people, right, they're just observers. They can decide to scroll past it. They can decide to not watch videos, right? They can just ignore it. Others can consume it with moderation uh, and just enjoy it, right? It's like a soap opera, honestly. It reminds me of, you know, I grew up watching freaking As the World Turns, you know, as a kid. And, you know, obviously some of the stuff was so over the top, so ridiculous. It's entertaining. So, but the other thing is, it's hard to keep up with everything going on and all the interactions between folks, but it's also enlightening. It helps you navigate the space because you are going to, as a new creator, and I experienced this, as have others that I've spoken with, that you are going to have people that try to trick you. They're going to try to convince you not to like some people, turn on other people, and you know, come into your DMs and give you unsolicited advice, and then get upset when you don't take it and whatever. And if you're not observing some of the content and the back and forth going on, then you will not be able to suss out certain people and certain interactions. So observing it, being aware of how some people act, how they can switch their tone, switch um, how they act, you know, from chat to chat or, you know, stream to stream, it allows you to prepare and possibly prevent, you know, backstabbing and drama yourself. So like for me, the first couple of years was just like sitting back, checking out the chats, interacting in the chats, but you can just gauge stuff, right? Seeing how people interact, the way they talk, how they change, you know, whether it's on Twitter where there'll be like virtue signaling and, you know, acting holier than thou. And then you see them in the chat and they're just like the complete opposite. And it's like, glad I saw that. Because then when they try to interact with you, you can be cautious. So it helps you figure out how to navigate. Because otherwise, if you're a deer in the headlights, good chance you might get tricked or you might deal with a lot of shit that you could avoid if you can kind of get a sense for folks. So it's a huge time investment because, yeah, there's a ton of drama in the space. There's a lot of back and forth, but it can pay dividends and save you some heartburn down the road. So, yeah. So Katie says, I clip you, BA, because you've talked about important topics that are important for everyone in CVG to hear. And yeah, that's the thing that I like to do is discuss topics. I'll discuss, I guess, light drama when it's stuff like this, where it literally pertains to me. But in general, I'd rather talk about, you know, quantity versus quality. You know, talk about the nuance of pricing discussions, you know, marketing yourself, all that stuff, because it's interesting to me, and because I have experience in a lot of those things outside of just comics or novels or whatnot. So, but I appreciate the clips and the extra exposure. Absolutely. Michael Ferraro says that I'm measured and thoughtful, valid when it comes to opinions and analysis. Thank you. And that's what I hope to be. And if my experiences or feedback or whatnot can help other creators entering the space avoid some landmines or have a more successful campaign, right? Hit the ground running, then that's awesome. That's a bonus. So
I didn't see the part. I watched a little bit because Jay Dollar was watching it, so I watched to see what was going on. And do you think it maybe
for what happened?
No, I'm not. He played the stream. I've got that clip somewhere in my file, but
I think that's pretty much it for that. But I do have another screenshot that's quite interesting here. So let me share that. All right. So, ignoring the awesome photo there of my favorite Lois Lane, which that's a hard one to ignore. Check out the live chat below here. So, Tree Goblin is someone that I've noticed in a lot of chats. I've noticed them on Twitter. But check out that comment. Chatter, how do I strike channels? Asking for a friend. Now, I'd have to scrub through a stream of Raptors to see if he's a mod in his channel. But if so, but even if not, if he's just in the chat, he's not doing a good job controlling his chat like he expects Katie to do. So that's quite interesting. So yeah. Interesting. So on to the next fun topic. And this one I want to talk about because again, it is a legitimate topic. Actually, it's just some horrible, and I mean horrible advice that I couldn't really ignore. And I thought it'd be just kind of funny to watch with you guys. So we're gonna jump over to another great channel. Let's do this. All right, so we are going to go over to John's Dongbox, his channel. The guy that had accused me of swiping the term Dongbox said that it was actually Shane that did it, but Shane confirmed he indeed did not call him that. But I'm totally, it's very unfortunate that that name caught on. Very unfortunate. But hey, when you're trashing me in DMs behind my back, then I don't really feel all that bad about it. And it's funny. It's lighthearted. Come on, folks. But he's having a conversation with Elasmet. Sure, folks know who both of these guys are at this point. If you want to watch any low context, just garbage documentaries, then check out Elasmet's channel. So let's see what advice John has for writers. So strap in, strap on, and get really ready for some just heavy duty advice that is going to prepare everyone to be very, very successful.
Inspire them, and you observe how those artists got their start, how they.
Now we won't go through previous parts of the stream. It's kind of pointless. It's just the same complaining, about CG and all the things that have happened over the last couple of years. That we've seen just from stream after stream after stream from all of the similar folks that have exited very loud. And again, I've been very clear. I don't care if people walk away from it. People, just do their own thing. Nothing wrong with that. But when they leave kicking, screaming, and trying to drag everyone else's names, down in the mud along with them. That's where it's like, yeah, that's not okay. So, yeah.
Hustled, and it's like, well, there's some ideas that you could emulate today or adapt it in a certain way so you can expand beyond just YouTube streams or X posts, So there's definitely a bigger conversation, a more productive, I don't say podcast weird, but productive conversation. Have a conversation about which con am I going to, who's going to be there that I can network with. There's definitely a greater conversation to be had. And the conversation that we're having now about all the CG stuff, that has to be had because you want to snap people back to reality. But you want from that to something bigger that more people can latch onto so you can grow your brand.
Oh, I agree with you so much. Henry Bemis, he says the Dungeoneers was the final straw for me. There was absolutely no reason to push those people out. It was stupid for creative receipt. Yeah, stupid for business. That was the most mild thing. A couple of people, they went to like a bar, a saucy bar. I'm not going to get into the super detail. All I got to say is, guys,
why wouldn't you give the details if it wasn't that, bad or that saucy?
Did worse stuff than that in my 20s and 30s,
Worse stuff than that? I don't know why you would tell people about that. I mean, some of the stuff that folks have heard about that little shindig was, a bit disturbing, but worse than that. Yeah. I don't know if the patriarch would approve of doing such things.
and the guy who brought him to the bar didn't. It was selective outrage. That guy's fine, but the other people, I don't understand. I don't know why. And
it's because he took the jokes on the chin and just ran with it. So yeah, if you get caught kind of going to an odd place and people tell a joke about it, it's not really that surprising.
See everybody rally around like sheep when they got people who stick around who legit do 100 times worse.
I didn't know sheep could clap. Maybe he meant seals, but yeah.
And again, even the people that do things legit worse, I still didn't even see it as that bad. But then they started attacking me. So all right, you want to attack me? I'll make fun of your shit too. But CG's got no moral upper hand. So you went to an S&M bar and watched people walk around with leather. Ooh, geez.
I think it was more and less than just leather. I don't want to go into the details because literally have no interest in talking about such details. But on his side, he didn't make it seem like it was that bad. So why not just elaborate some, especially if you've seen and done worse, apparently, or whatever. But
these people are in their 20s, except for the one guy who was like 50 who brought them there. But everybody else in their 20s, you're supposed to be doing stupid shit.
I mean, if you read about some of these artists, right? If you read about some of these artists in the '60s, alternative, like the underground movement of the '60s, the shit they were involved, like Vaughn Bodie or Dory Seda, it makes what we were doing mild and timid. The whole Dungeoneer stuff is mild and timid compared to what Dory Seda or Vaughn Bodie was in. But you know what? Their spotlight on their personal life wasn't a thing because it was more focused on their work, and we remember their work and their IPs and their stories.
I got to say, if you're in your 20s and you're not doing stupid shits like going to S&M bars and getting into fist fights and fighting on the subway, how are you going to be a good writer when you're sitting?
Are you serious? Did he just say you have to go to S&M bars, get into fist fights, and fight on subways to be a good writer? No, if Tolkien was involved in any of that, or Ayn Rand, or any of the other legends. Even a good chunk of the legendary comic book writers. I highly doubt they did all of those three things. And I wouldn't encourage anyone to do that, especially when they're young. I mean, unless your comic is literally about that stuff. But otherwise, I don't think you need to research that stuff in real life. I don't think so. I could be wrong.
At home in your house, your comics are going to be written really badly. Go out and get some experience. You think Ernest Hemingway didn't? He just sat around and did nothing. Pet cats away. Yeah, as an old man, but as a kid, that guy was doing stuff. You need to build up experiences. I'm sure Mike Barron's
maybe good experiences, but I don't think you need to have bad experiences to be a good writer. And I don't really know how you implemented any of that stuff into your Purple Superman book. I mean, other than the saucy bedroom scenes and the second one, based on the campaign, but yeah, kind of seems like the theme of that book is supposedly the opposite of such content, but hmm.
Yeah, fun story that he'll only tell in private. You know what I mean? But when you're just sitting home in your basement streaming for 6 hours a day, your comic reads like you sit home in your basement and you stream for 6 hours a day.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, some of the greatest storytellers in the 20.
Oh, really? Yeah, that was such a obvious shot there that you just took, but I don't know. I definitely like to compare your writing, to some of these guys that are streaming, right, for multiple hours. I'm quite confident, that like Shane's books, for example, gonna be quite a bit better. Pretty sure.
20th century fought in World War II or in Vietnam. They had some insane experiences, and they brought that with them to their storytelling.
Yeah, going to war is not the same as choosing to go to like degenerate bars and like engaging in degenerate behavior. I mean, fighting for your country or getting drafted and things. I don't know if I would compare those two. Um, I also wouldn't recommend anyone going to war either. Um, like, you know what? If you want to be a good writer, you need to like, oh, geez, yeah, you need to go to the Middle East and fight for oil and drugs. Like, no, I don't think so.
One guy that I'm inspired by is Ishiro Honda, the director of the first Godzilla film. He fought in World War II, and he came away with some very nightmarish tales of what he saw at the war, and it made him anti-war. And the Godzilla film from 1954 is an anti-war film because it was a reflection of his sentiment.
Yeah, like Chuck Dixon said, every good war story is an anti-war story. The Lord of the Rings, it was inspired by Tolkien's experiences in World War One.
Yes, it was definitely inspired by his experiences in war, not at S&M clubs. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure The Hobbit would have a different tone, and maybe Frodo would have engaged in some different extracurricular activities, and Bilbo's name would probably sound like something else. I'm sure you can imagine.
A lot of that was thrown in there. The PTSD that Frodo had. Jose Garcia, who does my variant cover of the Patriarch Fighting the Subterranean, wants to know when's the next documentary coming out. And Jose Garcia is a gentleman, and if you get a commission from this guy, as soon as the money clears, this guy's done. He's got to be the fastest professional, and the detail is amazing. And he colored it, guys. Jose Garcia is a consummate professional, but he wants to know when's the next documentary.
So my eyes are open right now. I'm seeing certain things. So I'm just want to make sure that because I don't just do videos about, this is what CG did. I try to make a point with it and try to reflect it on artists from yesteryear. So I try to tell a story that
and make them completely one-sided and biased.
that you can watch over and over again. So my eyes are open. I have an idea what my next one's going to be. I want to just get some more receipts, get some more stuff before I make a coherent video.
Receipts.
So.
Yep. I was very friendly with somebody, and again, I'm being cagey about the names on purpose because I'm not here, whatever, to rekindle. And he stopped being friends because I said this. He asked me, "Do you believe in the culture war?" I said, "Yeah, I believe in the culture war." 4 hours later, talked about the culture war, and I said, "There's no culture war." What I meant was CG is not fighting a culture war. CG versus Eric July is not the culture war.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that was the thing. Once it became focusing on Eric July being the new
So it's a small percentage of CG folks that are even engaging in rhetoric or narratives or content regarding the Ripperverse. So it's completely irrelevant to the culture war or whatnot, regardless of if you believe in that. But again, they're judging it based off of one or two people, as always, which is the biggest flaw to these guys' arguments.
Evil. I'm like, wait, where do we go? How do we get to this point? Yeah, you don't like his comics, fine, but making this guy out to be the next evil when he's doing exactly what we should have been doing, like, how do we?
No, we should not be making bad, mediocre comics. We should not be just trying to maximize profits in focusing on quantity over quality. We should be trying to make unique characters, unique stories, and high quality art, free of 3D assets and things of that nature. So no, we should not be doing what, like he's referring to the Ripperverse, right? What they're doing. And no normal indie gets to start with hundreds of thousands of dollars at their disposal. That's the only thing, or hundreds of thousands of subscribers or followers. So again, it's completely you can't compare the scenarios. Not to mention, right? He supposedly does not do crowdfunding. So again, not comparable. You're literally comparing apples with bad tasting oranges.
Get to that, and why are you insisting that we should join you in that? Like, I don't want to join in this. Like, okay, I saw one may not have been good. I saw two.
No one's asking or trying to force people to join in on any of that. Again, it's up to everybody to decide if they want to be involved in any drama or whatnot.
That have been good, but you know what? He got better with his successive books. He's improving. Let him improve. Why are we making content out of this guy's failures? It's stupid.
Why are you making content out of what you believe is CG's failures or creator A, B, or C's failures? Because you want the views, you want the content.
Back to, I thought you were unemployed basement dweller. I'm not an unemployed, but I am a basement dweller. This is a basement, so technically I am a basement dweller. Unfortunately, most comics I read now are digital. Yeah, I got.
So I think that's the gist of that video. But yeah, to sum it up, I do not think you need to go to S&M clubs or engage in degeneracy or get in fistfights, whether that's in the subway or not in the subway, to be a good writer. You need to study the craft. You need to have passion, and you need to have an imagination. And there are plenty of other life experiences, whether good, bad, unfortunate, accidental, that can help you become a good writer outside of the aforementioned items. So, yeah, I had heard that, and I was just like, are you kidding me? Especially right if it's like a young writer, like I would never recommend them doing things like that. Especially the fist fighting thing. Like, I mean, you could go to jail, you could get severely hurt. So yeah, absolutely horrible advice. Let's see, we got Mr. Patrick Quinlan is here. How's it going, dude? We also have Cookie Comics, and yeah, I saw your comment about announcing a new book. So, um, not ready to announce the title, or the subtitle, or the artist, or any of that yet. But I do have some pages done with lettering. So the first comic issue is well underway. I got about 42 pages scripted and edited many times over. And I should have a sign up page probably in September, maybe latest October. Hard to say when it'll launch. Most likely it'll be, maybe February, March of next year. Because don't want to launch around Christmas. It's too soon. I mean, I could do it in October if I wanted to. That'd be like 2 months after the pit launch, which wouldn't be a bad time. It's when I launched my first campaign, but I do want to have a good 3+ months to get the signups. So unless I got super blessed and got a crazy amount of signups in a short amount of time, I likely will need to wait until Q1 of 2026 to launch the actual campaign. Just because, yeah, it doesn't make sense to do it around the holidays. So, but we'll definitely have a good percentage of the book completely done before it launches. So, but yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. So, but again, super excited to show you guys art. We also have Baki here. How's it going, dude? I hope to have, like what Shane did with Anatomic was, and a lot of the guys have done. I would love to have like 4 or 5 streams in the first day because you want to maximize that first day, right? So I would love to just all day have streams lined up and just hit the ground running. So, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see who's open to hosting me, and hopefully the art and the preview pages will excite them enough to want to have me on their channel. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I would like to get, I mean, minimum 500 signups. I got, I think, around 240 for the first campaign, but I would like to get 1,000, realistically, so I can feel comfortable that I could get 500 backers. But I mean, I want to get 1,000 backers. That's, my goals are lofty. I think the art, the story, is definitely going to justify that. I do think it's going to have that potential. So, but that's also why I don't want to rush it. Want to make sure everything's lined up nicely and execute properly. So, super excited. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Just jump from channel to channel to channel. Like maybe on a Saturday, going through Sunday, and yeah, also it'd be good to just obviously the established guys, right? They're gonna be successful on the first day, right? That's the norm. They've earned that. But what I think CG is missing now is, again, the dark horses, the new creators that are coming in with, like an eye-popping comic to where, those bigger guys are like, "Hey, I'd like to bring them on our channel." More eyes on this project could bring more eyes on them, because I'm not just going to promote myself during that time. I'm still going to be promoting all the other folks too. So the more projects or eyes that come to my project, come to my channel, come to my Twitter, are going to get exposed to all their campaigns as well, because I just believe in having that kind of mindset. Um, so yeah, I'm super super excited. So yeah. All right, let's see. What should we talk about next? So I did, with all the Superman hoopla going on. I have not seen it. I think everyone knows I have no interest in seeing that. If I watch, it'll be when it's on streaming, just so that I can do like a review and do a breakdown and compare it to obviously the Snyderverse. But Fantastic Four I might watch if I get a chance to go do it. I think the vibe of Fantastic Four looks fantastic. Um, but the casting drives me nuts. It literally is like I'm on that edge of like, I want to watch it, but man, I cannot stand the actress. I cannot stand Pedro Pascal. It's like, if they would have casted those two differently and just like stuck with like the guy from The Office, who was, I think, perfect for Reed Richards, um, then I would certainly be making sure I could watch it. But I think it'll be good. It's just I know that's gonna be one of those movies where, like, man, I enjoyed that, but a couple of those castings really annoyed the crap out of me. um, I don't think it'll be so good like the second, Nolan verse film uh with Maggie Gyllenhaal. Like that was a distraction, but it was minor because everything the movie was so phenomenal. Everything else was so well put together that it's just something that you're like, yeah, yeah. Every time you kind of see that, you're like, that was not a good casting. But for this movie, having two of them, and it's not like a mind blowing director or writer, um, it makes me hesitant. But anyways, uh, was not impressed with how Superman looked, and of course, on Twitter, it's riled up the pro Snyder guys, the anti Snyder guys, and all that, and everyone revisits two scenes from the Snyderverse, right? The Pa Kent tornado scene, the death scene, and the Martha scene. Everyone either loves, hates, and just can't like move on from, especially the folks that hate it. And so I was like, I've always wanted to kind of talk about them a little bit more in depth to give my perspective on it, because they are crucial scenes, in my opinion. I do think some folks overlook a lot of the reasoning behind them and the context behind them, just because, like, they're upset with the tone of the film, things of that nature, so they just like can't even like enjoy what's in front of them. So I did want to go over those. So I am hesitant to play clips on here, especially when it comes to like film and stuff. So I don't want to like get struck or whatever. So I'm not gonna play the scene as much as I would love to. But let me pull up a photo so we know which one I'm referring to. We'll start with the pocket death scene, which really, really bothers a lot of people, which I can understand to an extent. Because on a surface level, if you don't put a lot of thought into it, yes, you're just kind of like, man, that's silly. Like it's Superman. Why doesn't he just save him? Right? It's not that simple. But I enjoy films that are deep and they do not make it um, simple at all. So let me pull this up here. Why you're not just staring at me here. Let's see. So difficult to share stuff on here now compared to like a year ago. There we go. All right. The infamous photo. All right. So let me pull up some notes I had on this. So obviously, what happens here is, the Kent family is driving, in their vehicle heading home, and Clark and Jonathan Pa Kent, they're getting in an argument. Pa Kent's trying to tell him about the importance of farming, and it's implied that he's talking about him taking over the farm one day. Very common and normal discussion in a lot of um now, Frost, you distracted me. You tricked me. I thought you meant like it wasn't pulling up the image, and then I'm looking at me right there. And it's like, oh, that's right there. But yes, you're always looking into my soul, Frost. um, so, anyways, they're getting in an argument because Clark is saying, "Hey, I want to be more. I want to do more. I want to do more important things." And Pa Kent is saying, "What you're telling me farming isn't important, feeding people and all that." And obviously, Pa Kent has always been back and forth and hesitant in regards to him using his abilities, right? Because he is a father, he always wants to put his son's safety first. And that is quite the dilemma, obviously, of what could result in his abilities being uncovered. And so Clark says some kind of nasty things back to his dad, like, "Hey, you're not my dad. You just found me in a field." And then you can see like guilt starts to overcome Clark's face, and then the storm starts to hit, so he doesn't get a chance to like apologize, right? And so the tornado starts hitting. They jump out of the car. Clark's dad, his immediate response is putting his wife and his son first. So, hey, son, take your mom to safety, get under the bridge. um, That's what a father should do, even if the son is superpowered. And you'd say, oh, but why wouldn't you just have the son go into the tornado and right save the kid? He's indestructible, or you assume at this point he's indestructible. We actually don't know what all of his abilities are at this point because he's not Superman. He's just a teenage Clark Kent. But he's thinking, hey, I need to make sure that Clark is right next to Martha at all times. Why? Because what if a car gets flung, right? Because he may not be able to hone his abilities so well to where, he could notice that car, about to hit his mom, right? To be able to save her and then save the kid at the same time. So he's thinking, okay, save your mother first. Be her shield in case something happens. So putting his kid and his wife first. So to me, fantastic approach, realistic, especially for like a Midwestern father figure that's a farmer. So, he saves the kid, Pa Kent does, and then he realizes his dog is stuck in the car. And yes, kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, farmers, people and their dogs have connections. Not surprising that he would go in and try to save him. Like he's just running on adrenaline. He's thinking, no, I can do this. He gets stuck in the car, right? And then he breaks his ankle in the process of getting out. And then the tornado is approaching him. And then Clark starts to lunge forward like he's going to run to try to save him. And that's where, Pa Kent just says, no, no, son, just don't. And so to break that down, first off, we don't know if he has super speed. We don't know if he has the ability to fly. Now, I'm of course going to reference Smallville because that's the best comparison, at least in like live action depictions, where over the course of a couple of years he develops each ability. So, for all we know, he doesn't have super speed. Right? He wouldn't even have been able to make it to him. Likely doesn't have flight because flight's like the last ability. And at this point, he's probably like 16, 17. So we don't know that he actually could have saved him without, again, staying right next to his dad. But dad decided to put mom first. Makes sense. Now, let's assume maybe he has these abilities. Okay. He could have saved him. The reason why Pa Kent would say, "Hey, don't try," is there was already unnecessary and uncomfortable attention put on Clark and his potential abilities when he was a kid. When he saved that busload of kids, right? You had the Ross family show up at their house talking about, "Hey, he might be, blessed. He may have abilities, or something magical, or something happened outside of the ordinary," and they want to like tell people about it. Put it on showcase, the newspapers or whatever. That scares the crap out of Pa Kent, of course, right? Because he's thinking, hey, if the government ever finds out that I have a superpowered son, like they could take him from us. They could use him as a lab rat. They could turn him into a weapon. That's why he's like hesitant, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't always save everyone, or you got to be careful. So I can tell what's running through his mind right here is there's people in Smallville that already had suspicions. If he just miraculously gets saved, they're going to instantly think of that time when those kids on the bus were saved and Pete Ross saw Clark pushing the bus. And now they're in a time of social media, right? Utilizing the internet to where that stuff could just get out there. And then it could get to news outlets and you could have camera crews and stuff in Smallville. And Pa Kent's not going to be able to stop the government. He's not going to be able to stop any of that. So he's thinking if there's even the slightest chance that it could expose his son, put him in harm's way, it's not worth it. Like, I need to put him first. I need to sacrifice myself. And I'm sure he's thinking, okay, I've raised him well. I've taught him how to be a man. Like, he'll be okay with his mom. He has more time to learn and find himself before just like being potentially thrusted into the limelight and in a bad way. And there's future context that backs up his fears because in the Snyderverse, what was planned with the Supergirl film was Supergirl was captured by the government. She was experimented on, she was tortured and all of that, right? So that proves that that's exactly what would have happened with Clark. So he had that set up to like justify that later on. And the other thing that a little nugget of context was also in Batman vs Superman when, he's climbing the mountain and, he has this like dream at the top of the mountain of his dad and he's having this discussion with him. And Pa Kent relays this story from his childhood where, there was this bad storm and, there was going to be like a flood that was going to kill the animals on the farm. And, like he essentially, created a trench or something to push the water down, and it saved the farm, and everyone in the family was treating him like a hero. And then they found out the next morning that the farm, downhill from them, all the horses they drowned. So even though he thought he may have made the best decision and he did something heroic, there were unintended consequences. Uh, and so the same thing could have happened if he would have saved his dad. The unintended consequences would have been, let's say you get captured by the government. Well, then you can't be the hero you're meant to be. You can't be out saving people like he ends up doing. He can't save the world if he ends up being turned into a weapon. So even though his intentions would have been good and pure, the unintended consequences could have been much more dire and could have resulted in, you know, really negative consequences. So I liked what Snyder did overall here, because I do think this is how Pa Kent would have acted in such a situation. I think it's more impactful, more powerful than a heart attack, or something of that along those lines. Because again, there's the potential that here there was nothing that he could have done. He didn't have the abilities, or that he could have saved him, but it could have done more harm to him, his family, and others. So I like that he got put in this really difficult position, um, and this challenge that ended up helping him become the man that he ended up being. So yeah, I really really like that scene, especially now being a dad. Like it hits me harder, because if you were to put yourself in their shoes, you'd be like, I get it. I'd do the same thing. So that's my take on the tornado scene. See what the chat says here. So Frost says, "Son, you hear everything. You know your mother and I aren't happy. This is my way out. Just let me go." Hmm? Well, and that's the thing. And I enjoy when films kind of leave it up to interpretation, or they leave breadcrumbs throughout the series so that you can go back and reflect and be like, it makes sense why he did that. But this is also one of those properties where it's like not everyone would have watched Smallville. Not everyone would have watched the or read the comics. But if you did, you would understand Pa Kent's thought process a bit. You would understand that like he is going to put himself before, or he's going to put his son and his family before himself. And the same thing happened in Smallville. From what I recall in that, he had the classic, I guess you could say, heart attack in that film or in that TV series. But the difference was that only happened, or that process only got sped up because he sacrificed himself by striking a deal with Jor-El in order to obtain Kryptonian powers to confront Clark when he was on red kryptonite, to be able to stop him, to bring him back to his normal self. And having those superpowers did like immense damage, to his body, and more so his heart. And so that's what put him in that position. And so if he wouldn't again have sacrificed his life because he didn't know if he was going to survive having those abilities, he went in there just knowing like, hey, there's a chance I could die, but it's worth it to save my son. Again, that's why I have this impression of Pa Kent in the Snyderverse, is because that's how he's been depicted in other adaptations. And then ultimately the heart attack happens because he he approaches Lionel Luthor when he believes Lionel is about to expose Clark. So he confronts him, gets physical, and then that's what prompts the heart attack. So again, he's protecting his son first and foremost. He doesn't want any risk at all. And he's willing to sacrifice himself, which he does right here. Uh, So yeah, I recommend everyone watch Smallville though too if you haven't. It's fantastic depiction of Clark Kent and how he becomes Superman. So yeah, that is my thoughts on the tornado scene. The next one, and the oh so popular one, is the Martha scene, which I do get the jokes and they are funny. Told them myself at times, but I do really enjoy that scene and think it was well done as well. So let's take a look at that image here. Get it pulled up. All right. So for those who have watched it, um, obviously you know how they got to this point for the most part, right? Lex essentially uses propaganda, money, power, politicians to pin Batman and Superman against one another so that he can ultimately take one, if not both, off of the board. He is a master manipulator in the film. And, they basically come to this fight night where Lex tells Clark, like, hey, he's kidnapped his mom. He's showing him a bunch of pictures of her, being tortured and crying and all of this. And he says, you you have to kill the bat if you want to save your mother. And so, of course, he's trying to do everything he can to save his mom. So he goes and approaches the bat. Initially, he's trying to talk to him, like trying to reason with him, but Batman has become so blinded with rage as a result of Robin being killed by the Joker, and just seeing all these good people die, and seeing all the destruction that happened when Zod obviously tried to take over the planet. And so he's not able to reason with him, and they just start this brawl. And Batman has produced this spear with a kryptonite tip to it. He's got him pinned down, and he's about to finish him. And initially when he's got him pinned down here, he says, you aren't a god, you aren't even a man to Superman. And then Clark says, Martha, they're going to kill Martha. And it jars Batman more so than if you would have just said mother, it may have done something, but he wouldn't know that he means a human mother. Um, so it wouldn't have had that big of an impact. Yes, it wouldn't have sounded so cheesy, but that connection of that's his mom's name as well. Again, it just makes it that much more impactful. And obviously, that is true to comics too, with their names being shared. And when Lois runs up and says it's his mother, that's his mom's name, you know, that realization that he has a human mother, that makes him realize that Superman is indeed human in a way because he was raised by humans and a man, countering his initial comment. And it shatters all of his preconceived notions. He just thought he was this all powerful alien like Zod that came as an adult or at some point was never influenced by humanity, wasn't raised by humanity, right? Didn't have morals, right? Potentially saw himself as a god. And he was so blinded by rage that he just viewed him basically no differently as Zod or someone that could turn out to be Zod over time with a thirst of power or after being manipulated. And it also made him realize that he was becoming what he hated and what killed his parents. He was becoming a murderer in this scene because there was no just reason to kill him, unlike a a Joker or a bad guy. Um, so it had hit him that he had strayed too far from the light, and that's what pushes him to have this flashback of his parents murder. And that flashback is what makes him realize he can do for Clark's mother, Martha, what he couldn't do for his own parents. So it gives him an opportunity for redemption like that. Like I can save his mom, and that can kind of relieve some of his guilt of being a kid not being able to save his own parents, and also try to right the wrong of this whole scenario with Superman. And so this interaction basically gives him his humanity back. And it makes him realize that Clark's willingness to die and or fight, to save his mother made, Bruce realize that, Clark was not only good, but that he had himself, fallen victim to the darkness, making him feel ashamed and wanting that sense of redemption. And so, even though, again, saying the name in that manner, it sounded cheesy and whatnot, uh, I do believe that it was really impactful and it was a beautiful scene, in my opinion. Um, and again, it just puts those pieces back together and helps them realize that like they've been manipulated. And this is where I love the realism that Snyder and Terrio injected into this film was the fact that Lex, he used the politicians, he used the media, he used the justice system, he used criminals, all of that to manipulate good people, which is exactly what happens to people every day, right? In real life, you have the media manipulating you with propaganda and lies. You have politicians manipulating you with lies and propaganda. And it does change people over time. And so I just love how much of a strategist that Lex was and how well he orchestrated everything. But you really have to catch the details and see the Ultimate Edition to realize what Lex put together and how it was a phenomenal plan until Bruce realized that Clark was human. Because the entire time he's convincing him that he's just this alien with a thirst for power, this god um, mindset, basically, and realizing that he himself had a mother that was in peril and that he was raised by humans shattered that plan. And then that's what makes Bruce be the leader of the Justice League. It allows him to form it, and that's how you also get to the final. It fulfills the character arc for both characters once Superman comes back, from the dead. Clark slash Superman is optimistic. He's just dedicated to saving humanity. He knows what his purpose is in life finally after going through all these trials and tribulations. And Batman knows that he needs to have faith. He needs to trust others, and that things can change for the good. So, yeah, again, I love this scene. And again, being a parent now and everything, it hits me that much harder. And I love how they opened the movie with that really powerful, you know, the scene of his parents being murdered, and then pulling that back in this, you know, critical moment in the storyline. So yeah, that's my breakdown of that controversial scene. So would be interested for if there's any folks that were not a fan of that scene or on the fence, if they rewatched it, or just I'd recommend just rewatching the movies. But you know, observing them after digesting these thoughts, to see do you look at it differently, and does it impact you a little bit differently? Don't don't break my heart like that, Patrick. Don't do that. Can't help but be serious. These are serious movies, man. They do have some good jokes and light humor throughout them. So Cookie Comic says, it didn't occur to Bruce that maybe Flash did something to time that brought his mom back. It didn't come up at all. Um, so I think he does realize, obviously when Flash pops up in the Batcave, that he was able to reach him through a different point in time. But I don't know in regards to the idea of his mom being brought back. But I do know that Snyder had, I think, Elseworlds planned or something to show his parents um, and bring them back into the fold with Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing his dad. So uh, yeah, there's just so much potential for that series. Um, yeah, it's unfortunate, but so yeah, those are my thoughts on those two controversial scenes. I need to rewatch those soon. It's been seeing all the Superman trailers and stuff have been giving me the itch to watch them again for probably the 15th time. So I typically watch them like twice a year at least. So yeah, let's see. And then yeah, reminder for folks that the two Vigilantes Creed novels are available on Amazon. You can get them individually in paperback or via Kindle, ebook. If you have Prime membership, you get free shipping. The books are very affordable, and you can also get the hardcover duology version with the beautiful Joe Ball cover art. So if you just go to Amazon.com and search for Vigilantes Creed, that will get you there. I'll drop some links in the chat just in case some folks have not picked up the novels. We'll definitely get you warmed up for the comics that are coming soon. Actually, I can send you to the author page, which will direct you to all the books. And yes, absolutely. Yeah, one of the other things I want to briefly touch on. Let's see. I don't have the post pulled up anymore. But there was a post that one of the kind of editors, let's say, in the indie novel space made about the concept and loving it. This concept of having ebooks without covers. Obviously you can cut costs and all of that, but um, I just think that's such a horrible, horrible idea. Um, first off, it is the cover art and the title that is going to pull you into the pitch. It's what's going to pull you to the page. It's what's going to get you to read the sample pages. And potentially it could be the reason that you buy it. And that's that much more important in the comic world. And the one thing I'm seeing in regards to, indie comics specifically is there's just a lack of imaginative covers. And I'm not against homage covers or doing like layouts and all that, but there's just a lot of homage covers, and there's just too many just covers of like, hey, all of your characters smashed together, or just too many characters, too much going on, in the cover versus like just an in your face depiction of the main character to really get a sense of what the character looks like, what he's about, with maybe some detail in the background. Um, there's a lot of covers where there's no detail in the background, and I get people are definitely going to be limited to an extent on who they can afford to get for a cover artist. That's understood for sure, but I think from a writer perspective, when you have to commission everything, just try to think outside the box in terms of your cover layout and what you want to have, on that cover. including titles, of course. And that was one thing I didn't do a great job on, for my first campaign is I didn't think about the title layout positioning until after the cover art was done, which did me a disservice because I should have guided the artist or said, hey, I need your guidance to consider those factors. But man, I tell you, that cover art, that's what's going to be your thumbnail or the main attraction to your crowdfunding campaign or your Amazon page. And that's something that really needs to be thought out. And I really encourage folks to just think outside the box. And yeah, homages are cool, but so many people do them to where it's just like, if you really want to catch people's attention and get them to feel like you and or your artists are creative, and then that creativity is going to bleed into the interiors, right? Into the storytelling. You guys start with the cover. That's that first impression. It's your biggest marketing tool as well. And so going back to the novel concept, it's like you imagine just and the example she gave was just this cover page, just title, name, going right into the story. And it's like the title might give you a little info, but it's not enough. It's not going to tell you the genre. It's not going to, you're going to have no idea if the characters might be intriguing or not. And, one of the biggest failures on a lot of novel covers is they don't even have any of the characters on the covers to get you excited about the characters because the characters drive the story. Whereas comics, you kind of have the opposite problem. There's maybe it's too busy. There's too many characters, or the action or what's going on in the cover is just it's been done a million times. And then obviously the title coming up with a unique title that stands out. Um, you're seeing again just a lot of stuff that's kind of cookie cutter. So those are all things that I'm keeping in mind and trying to make sure that I don't feel guilty of when making my comic. So excited to see the feedback and if people end up sharing those feelings or catching those things. So yeah, I did kind of dress like Bruce Wayne which was unintentional because well no because the photo was from my wedding, which did happen. Okay, so no, I probably was inspired a bit by the gray suit with the gray vest and the black shirt and tie underneath. But yeah, no, I like that style. But good catch. I like that. I'm glad that people might think that. And yep, that's what's going to catch people's attention. Absolutely. And here's the thing, right? Uh, and I don't want to sound um, inconsiderate or that I don't have sympathy towards obviously the struggles of indie novelists. Like I get it. I started there. I mean, it's you know you can get a good cover art. Not even a wraparound for 200-300 bucks. It's possible. You could also spend 500 or 1,000. But if you're realistic in regards to your first, especially if you're going right to Amazon, right, where you're going to get zero exposure from Amazon, you're going to get zero promotion probably from other authors, YouTubers, and stuff, because that's just not a big thing in the novel scene. It's quite brutal in that sense. You are going to be lucky if you sell 100 copies. If you're making at best a $4 royalty, maybe you're going to walk away with $400. But most people sell maybe 10, 20 copies, sadly. It's a very oversaturated market on Amazon, obviously, and hence why I'm very happy I took the route I did with crowdfunding and getting engaged in in a group and networking and all that. But if at being optimistic, the best you're going to walk away with $400 anyways, you might as well sink $400 or $500 into that cover. It's going to give you a better chance of making that back. Now, the brutal part of the cost aspect is the editing. Yeah, there are some editors out there. I can't say if they're good or not that are $500 or so. It's a big cost, upwards of $1,500. Which, again, even being optimistic, it'd be very, very hard to make it back. So, but a lot of people have rose-colored glasses. When they're about to release their novel, right? They're not even realizing how hard it's going to be to recover your costs. But it's like, if you're going to already sink that much money into editing, there's a good chance you're not going to get your money back without a phenomenal piece of cover art. You might as well just get that phenomenal piece of cover art and get the most out of it, right? So that you can do conventions, events, try to get attention on Amazon, which, again, no one's going to come across your book organically, really. It's just not that likely. So you need that marketing material to get on Facebook, to get on all these other platforms, do book signings, all of that. Because the worst feeling would be printing a bunch of books and going to a convention or a book signing and everyone just looks past your art, because it's the art that's going to pull them in at events, unless you're like this pushy salesperson, which I have seen that it's very uncomfortable to be around. Doesn't always work, but you might as well make that investment, potentially take the hit on the overall costs, but then again build your library, and then you have a better chance of over time selling the first book, the second book, right? But yeah, highly recommend make that investment, find a way if you can, because that's what's going to catch the attention of someone, and it could catch the attention of someone with a big following that's willing to promote you or something. But if you don't try, you never know. And if you don't do a cover at all, good luck. I mean, that's just a horrible idea. That'd be a horrible piece of advice, like the other advice that we went through previously. Let me guess, it's probably another joke. Process. I'm going to start combining homage covers. I'll have a Superman holding Supergirl pose with the manicure sliding at the same. And I've seen that literally, where there's like a homage piece here mixed with a homage piece here and a homage piece here, and you're like, really? I mean, come on. Like, that would make me doubt, like, how creative were you on the script if you just like told your artist, like, hey, just do these three and freaking melt them together or something. And that's true. Your cover art is phenomenal. Pun intended. Definitely make sure you back Phenomenal Tales and Phenomenon when the next book comes out. I don't think it'll be that long. Possibly again this year, early next year. So excited for that. Excited to be receiving your recent book. I know you're busting ass on that and getting that out. So looking forward to that. I think that's about all I have to cover tonight. Unless anyone has any questions or anyone wants to rack my brain on anything, I am a open book, pun intended, again. And yeah, appreciate everyone being here and enjoying the horrible advice that we reviewed, the crazy conspiracy, and going over the controversial and beautiful Snyderverse scenes. It's funny, like I've been on streams, like I was on Salty's channel a couple weeks ago where, we talk about, Snyderverse and all of that. And, when I'm on stream, I mean, I have like bad ADHD as it is, but like it's hard to like focus and and think like deeply into certain topics. Like if you don't prepare in advance, because like you're looking at the chat, you're looking over here, looking over there. It's easy to lose focus on a point you want to make. But like it's I'm the type that it's like I want to sit down, make detailed notes, and then have those ready to discuss it. And that's when like I can really go into detail on some of the concepts and details of like the Snyderverse, for example, or Smallville, and any of the properties that I love. And it's like I almost need to get all of those jotted down so that when I'm in those streams, I can pull them up because I'm just kind of like, it's gonna take me a while to like break down all that stuff. But yeah, good stuff though. I love having those in-depth conversations on whether it's a comic or movie or TV show, like stuff like Swamp Thing or Sin City, like that stuff that like I would love to do a breakdown of a book, which is something like John and Shane do. I think they do on Rumble. I think it's once a month or something, but like that would be something fun to do with someone where you pick a comic, you dive into it, you break it down, make detailed notes, and then just have a discussion over that comic. Like, really be able to share your passionate thoughts about the properties or how much you hate it potentially. But so yeah, something might be something I need to consider doing once a month. I still hope to do a panel stream at some point. I've been saying that for a long time, but there's also just not a ton of active campaigns going on. Which in a way, it's like, maybe that's a good thing because, backers are looking, for more books. They may have more funds available. I don't know, but man, when I entered the space 3 years ago, there's always like 10, 15 campaigns going on at a time. And it's like right now I can only think of maybe 5 going on. So it might even be tough to get like a good batch of folks to do a panel show for promotion. Um, while obviously, I'm not going to bring agitators on to promote their stuff, just people that are friendly to me and the channel. But yeah, definitely want to try to expand and do some more things. I do hope to once the sign up page is live, maybe do a once a month draw stream where my artists can draw live and we can go over some of the discussions and points of the story, what's going on, and where he's drawing and what our approach is, how we handle the script and all of that. Like that would be fun to break that stuff down. I'm keeping everything obviously close to the chest right now, but at some point um, I won't be. But no, no. No, I don't want to bring anyone on that tries to cancel me. And honestly, knock on wood, I think all the agitators got exhausted. They couldn't rattle me enough, and they just stopped showing up. So it's been very, very calm. Though I'm sure me speaking my piece on folks spreading rumors about me and giving my thoughts on some bad advice might stir some stuff up. But again, I'll still always have the same approach as always. So people that pay attention in the space are aware of how people handle things and what their intentions are. So my intentions are, interacting with my readers, my viewers, and just trying to make the best books I possibly can, and try to, you know, bring that wow factor on my first book and have something that stands out. So yeah. All right. Well, hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Have a great weekend coming up. Thankfully, it's Friday tomorrow, and yeah, everybody take care and God bless.